meet you again. Hello, good evening. Nice to meet you again. Yesterday I read two stories from the Dhammapada storybooks. Today also I will read two stories from the same book. The story of Thera Tissa and the story of Kalayakkhini. The story of Thera. While residing at the Chidana monastery in South Tea, the Buddha utters verse 3 and 4 of this book with reference to Tissa. Tissa, the son of the Buddha's maternal aunt, was at one time staying with the Buddha. He had become a bhikkhu only in his old age, but he posed as a senior bhikkhu and was very pleased when visiting bhikkhus asked his permission to do some service for him. On the other hand, he failed to perform the duties expected of junior bhikkhus. Besides, he often quarreled with the younger bhikkhus. Should anyone rebuke him on account of his behavior, he would go complaining to the Buddha, very much disappointed and very upset. The others also followed him to the presence of the Buddha. The Buddha told them not to harbor thoughts of enmity, for enmity could only be appeased by not harboring enmity. Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows. He abused me, he ill-treated me, he got the better of me, he stole my belongings. The enmity of those harboring such thoughts cannot be appeased. He abused me, he ill-treated me, he got the better of me, he stole my belongings. The enmity of those not harboring such thoughts can be appeased. At the end of the discourse, 100,000 bhikkhus attain Sarabhati fruition. The story of Kalayakkhini. While reciting at the Chidana monastery in South Tea, the Buddha uttered verse 5 of this book with the reference to a certain woman who was barren and a rival. Once there lived a householder whose wife was barren. Later, he took another wife. The feud started when the elder wife caused abortion of the other one, who eventually died childbirth. In later existence, the two were reborn as a hen, a cat, a dog, and a leopardess, and finally as the daughter of a nobleman in Saudi and an ogress named Kali. The ogress Kalayakkhini was in hot pursuit of the lady with the baby. When the latter learned that the Buddha was nearby, gave a religious discourse at the Jedona monastery, she fled to him and placed herself at his feet for protection. The ogress was stopped at the door by the guardian spirit of the monastery and was refused admission. She was later called in, and both the lady and the ogress were reprimanded by the Buddha. The Buddha told them about their past feuds as rival wives or a common husband, as a cat, a hen, and as a doe and a leopard nest. They were made to see that hatred could only cause more hatred, and that it could only cease through friendship, understanding, and goodwill. Then the Buddha spoke in verse as follows: hatred is indeed never appeased by hatred in this world. It is appeased only by loving kindness. This is an ancient law. At the end of the discourse, the Eucharist was established in Sarasvati Prussia, and the long-standing feud came to an end. I will also read another story of Kosambi Bikkhus. Even though I told you I will read two stories, but now I will continue to read another story. The story of Kosambi Bikkhus. While residing at the Chedavana monastery in South Tea, the Buddha uttered verses of this book with a reference to the Bhikkhus, Kosambi. The Bhikkhus of Kosambi had formed into two groups. One group followed the master Vinaya, and the other followed the teacher or the Dhamma, and they were often quarreling among themselves. Even the Buddha could not stop them from quarreling. So he left them and spent the Vasa resident period of their reigns all alone in Rakita group near Balilayaka forest. There the elephant Balileya waited upon the Buddha. The late disciples of Kosambi, on learning the reason for the departure of the Buddha, refused to make offerings to the remaining bhikkhus. This made them realize their mistake, and reconciliation took place among themselves. Still, the lay disciples would not treat them as respectfully as before, until they owned up their fault to the Buddha. But the Buddha was away, and it was in the middle of the Vasa, so the bhikkhus of Kosambi spent the Vasa in misery and hardship. At the end of the Vasa, the Venerable Ananda and the 500 bhikkhus approached the Buddha and gave the message from Anatta Vedika and other lay disciples imploring him to return. In due course, the Buddha returned to the Chedavana monastery in Sauti. The bhikkhus followed him there, fell down at his feet, and owned up their fault. The Buddha rebuked them for disobeying him. He told them to remember that they must all die someday, and therefore they must stop their quarrels and must not act as if they would never die. Now the Buddha spoke in verse as follows: people other than the wise do not realize we in this world must all die, and not realize it continue their quarrels. The wise realize it, and thereby their quarrels cease. At the end of the discourse, all the Sangha Bhikkhus were established in Sodapati Prusha. That's all today. I read three stories. In three stories, we must remove our hatred. We must behave properly. We must act impartially. Very carefully when we communicate with each other. If we have put we must remove all because it cannot be it cannot have peaceful mind if you have it. That is a very big problem. As you see in the story of Kali, so we must somehow take lesson from this story. Thank you all for your listening and watching my movie.